So welcome. I want to guide you today through a simple meditation. Think of this as an exploration. I think many people approach meditation in the same way that they approach everything else in life, with certain goals in mind, with the idea of right and wrong. And for now, I'd like you to just place those ideas aside. So let's approach this meditation as an exploration, as a type of game, like playing a game, just having fun. So the first thing I'd like you to do is just to make yourself very comfortable. You might choose to sit comfortably, or you might choose to lay down. If you choose to lay down, then try and be sure that you don't actually fall asleep. Just try and stay with the sound of my voice. If you're sitting up, then try and make yourself comfortable so that it's possible for you to be still for several minutes. Now that you've made yourself comfortable and still, I'd like you to just notice what you feel, what you find. I could say something like, "How are you doing?" Your mind might answer very, very quickly, fine, or not so good, or I'm upset, or I'm sad, I'm depressed. And normally we don't question this, but today I'm going to invite you to question that. We have the thought that I'm not okay, or I'm sad, or I'm happy, whatever it might be. But how do we know this? Are we sure? So let's just put that thought aside and the idea of believing that thought and explore, how do I know that I'm really in the state that my mind tells me I'm in? For most of us, this is going to be by verifying how we feel. So if my mind told me that I'm sad, then I'll just see if I feel sad. Same with any other feeling we might have, anxious or nervous or happy. So we verify that that feeling is there, and then we might not question any further. We might simply say, yes, I feel sad, just like my mind told me. But if you'll notice, you've simply labeled a sensation or feeling in your body as sadness. So most of us do this unconsciously. We don't ever think to explore any further than that. As human beings, we've been taught from a very early age to label and name and judge pretty much everything. And this includes our internal states. But as yogis, we want to go beyond this. We want to deconstruct this tendency that we have. So whatever the feeling is, again, I can't know what it is that you're feeling, but I'll just continue with this idea of sadness. Notice where you are feeling that emotion in your body, specifically. For most people, this will be felt as some kind of a constriction or tightness, maybe in the belly, in the solar plexus or heart, or maybe even up in the throat. So notice that this is true for you, and this is generally with negative, what we might call negative emotions. So sadness, anxiety, grief, depression. These are often experienced as a type of contraction. So just notice where you feel the contraction. Notice if there's any sort of movement. It might feel more like a vibration or pulsation. Or it might feel very, very solid, like an object that you're experiencing inside you. So again, there's no right or wrong answer here. We aren't trying to experience anything in particular. If what I'm saying isn't what you're experiencing, then go with your experience. So in my experience, when we go a little further or deeper, we find that the labels, say sadness or grief or depression, whatever the label we're giving to these negative emotions, that those can fall away, and we find this constriction or this tightness in a part of our body. And sure, our mind might interpret that and label it sadness or whatever emotion we have gotten used to labeling this sensation with. But if we really pay attention, we're just feeling this sensation. Do we really know this is sadness? What does sadness even mean? What does grief really mean? Maybe it means something different to different people. Now I'd like you to notice if this feeling or sensation is making you want to do something. Or notice if it's making you think along a certain line. So as an example, if maybe I had a run-in with my boss at work, and now as we do the meditation, I feel what I would call anxiety. I feel anxious, I feel nervous. Now, I might ascribe that feeling to this incident I had with my boss. And that anxiety might lead me to think along certain lines like, oh, I'm going to need to get a new job, or no, I won't get that raise. Or I might think thoughts like, my boss never appreciates me, or my boss doesn't like me. So just notice if there's any kind of narrative that comes with this emotion or sensation. Again, if we feel sad, we might have an idea. Our mind might be telling us why we feel sad. But just like everything else, we need to question that as well. I understand that for most people it seems very obvious. Well, I'm sad because this person said something mean to me, or I'm anxious because of my boss. But in order for us to really get to the deeper truth of the human experience, it's necessary for us to question these thoughts and these assumptions. So we have the feeling, the constriction, and then maybe we have this narrative or thought about it. And then often we also have in our mind a narrative or idea about how to fix the feeling. If we're experiencing what we would label a negative or unpleasant sensation or feeling, we usually are trying to figure out how to get rid of it. And for a human being, it's natural for us to have certain thoughts or ideas about how to get rid of it. For some people, that might be a type of plan. So again, to use the example of my boss, I might think, well, now I need to get a new job. Or on Monday, I'm going to go tell my boss, I'm going to explain a situation and try and change the dynamic. Other times it might result in a very short sort of thought process that leads to action. So we might have an uncomfortable feeling and then think, well, I'm going to get something to eat. Or I'm going to have another cup of coffee. That will make me feel better. Or how about, I'm going to go for a run. Or even, I'm going to meditate or do yoga. So from a deeper perspective, all of these are ways of trying to run away from that feeling instead of actually dealing with it. Again, if we believe this sort of narrative that we have in our mind, we might think dealing with the emotion or the sensation is by handling the external circumstance that we think gave rise to the feeling. So again, I might think, well, I'm uncomfortable because of what my boss said to me at work. I'm going to go speak to her and try and resolve this situation. Again, this we might think of conventionally as dealing with the problem, dealing with the situation. But what we'd like to explore now is that might not actually be true. That the whole narrative that our mind has created actually isn't necessarily true. And that all these ways we might try and handle or change or deal with this feeling or emotion are actually ways of running away from it, trying to escape it. So again, I'd like you to just take a moment to notice in what ways, if you're uncomfortable, in what ways are you trying to make that discomfort go away? So again, for most, this is some sort of plan or action. By executing some plan in the future or taking some action now, I am trying to change or alter or get rid of this feeling. The thing that almost nobody tries is actually just to be present with the feeling. Not trying to avoid it or run away from it. Not trying to change it. But just being really fully present with it. Now, our mind might tell us that doing this will not help. That if we don't do something about how we feel, then we're going to feel this way forever. But again, we need to start to question this narrative. Most of us have never actually explored just being present and aware and open to unpleasant sensations or emotions. What would happen if we really just let them in fully? Not trying to push them away, to alter or change them in some way. Now you might find that nothing seems to be happening. And that's okay. See if you can just stay with that feeling, giving it permission to just be. See if you can say yes to that feeling. Another thought that may arise here is that I can't do that. I would be destroyed or I will be overwhelmed by this feeling. So notice if that thought is present. And then you can ask yourself the question if that is really true. How would you know if you would be overwhelmed by a sensation or an emotion if in reality you've never actually allowed yourself to experience these things fully? So if you feel that it's safe to do so, see if you can just really relax. Let go of the compulsive need to try and control or change or manage how you're feeling moment by moment. And in this moment, just really fully allow yourself to be as you are. Notice if there's a thought or idea that you need to be different than you are, that you need to feel different. Maybe that you're not good enough as you are. See if just for now you can say you're good enough just as you are. And that how you feel is how you're supposed to be feeling. Even if you would prefer to feel differently. We all know deep inside how we would like to feel. You might call this a sort of spiritual beacon or lighthouse. But if we've lived long enough, we've discovered that the way that the world encourages us to find joy, peace, and contentment doesn't really work long term. So what we're doing here is we're trying a different approach. So feel free to stay with that emotion or emotions for as long as you'd like. I recommend just resting for a few minutes, making sure that you feel calm and settled. And whenever you feel that you've finished, you can get up and go about the rest of your day. I hope you found this helpful. And if there's any way that you think I can be of assistance or help you, please feel free to reach out and contact me anytime. Till next time, namaste.